Good morning and welcome to your Saturday early morning intuitive guidance. I'm Dr. Bonnie Nussbaum, here with some words of wisdom for your day, and I can tell already that this card is going to be timely for many of us. So hold on to your butts. Good morning, Joe Neal. You're the first one popping on today. Glad you are here. And I see we've got another person here. Your name's not rolling. Barb. Good morning, Barb. Glad you're here. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So let's start with the breath, because I really want us to be incredibly open, receptive, attuned to this idea that's going to be coming through this card. Good morning to whomever else has popped on. I see the numbers at 3. So let's start with the breath. And there's Beth. Good morning, Beth. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Good morning, Mel. Just opening up a little deeper with every breath. Good morning, Cindy. Everybody joining in. We have good stuff for today, you guys. Good stuff. In through the nose, out through the mouth. And as I'm breathing, sleep is way overrated lately. Yep, I totally get it. Although I'm having a harder time launching myself out of bed in the morning. Usually I'm like, bing, and there I am. And with the raininess, nah, just want to lay there. So, but at least I was only 2 minutes behind my self-imposed schedule today. In through the nose, out through the mouth. I want to let time serve me rather than me feeling like I need to serve time. Well, that one I felt right in here. There's a release. That's good. Good morning, Diane. Welcome, welcome. Good morning to Izzy, too. Good morning, good morning. So this is a fabulous card, and this is something I want us to really ponder today. Really go, that's interesting. There's Carolyn. I was so hoping you were going to pop on. I know you're always here. Good morning, Abigail. Welcome, welcome. Because this card is talking to you, dear. It's talking to you. And we'll talk about how do we address this. Good morning, Bobby. Welcome, welcome. I enjoyed our conversation yesterday, and actually, thank you for popping on, because that's what I wanted to remember. I was doing my breath just now going, okay, I got to remember that I want to talk about this thing. And I couldn't, at the moment, it wasn't coming into my mind. And then when I saw your name, it's like, oh yeah, it's what we talked about yesterday. So I just opened my journal where I wrote some of it down. So we're up to 11 folks. 11. Yay. I'm so excited. So glad you're all here. This is good stuff, you guys. This is good stuff. This is for all of us, and this is the stuff we then want to take and and implement for sure, but radiate out into the world. This is the stuff. All right? One more nice deep breath before I quit toying with you. Let it go. Our card for today comes from The Power of Surrender deck by Judith Orloff. Can any of you guess what we're meant to be surrendering today? What we're meant to be letting go of? We've had several people talking about it the last little while, and I've been giving some thoughts on it. Everybody's going to have to do their work differently. Our work, not the work that we think we need to impose upon others. Surrender the idea you can fix someone. Ding, 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 ding. It's time. Let's let that all go. Good morning, Gwen. Glad you're here. Glad you are here. Especially those of us who live with other people, right? It's easy to see, well, why don't they do this? And why don't they do that? And they ought to fix this. And they ought to fix that. And I ought to fix them. Hi to Izzy. So, yes, Joe Neal has a whole concept called let them. Let them, let them, let them. Whatever they're doing, it's theirs to do. Rock on with their bad selves. If it has an impact on us, we have the right to take good care of ourselves, but they get to do their own deal. Do your thing, baby. Okay, so let's see what it says. And if some of you have your toes curled right now and your teeth are clenched and you got fists, I know, there's all the yeah buts. How much happier they'd be if they'd changed this thing. How much happier you'd be if they'd changed this thing. Ain't how it works. Ain't how it works. So let's hear what it says. Surrender the idea you can fix someone. Take a breath. It's time for a relationship to shift. It doesn't work to try to fix someone. Each person must be accountable for his or her own healing. Each person must be accountable, and you cannot make them accountable. Sorry, you can't. Good morning, Angie. Glad you are here. Welcome. We're up to 13 people here today. This is awesome. And what that tells me is that the universe really wants us all to be looking at this. Really wants us all to be looking at this. Take care of themselves. Yes, yes, yes. And if they choose not to, they deal with the consequences of that. For every action, there's an outcome. We're choosing our outcomes even when we do it subconsciously, right? And those outcomes do have impacts on others. And so if you are the other on whom that impact is being bestowed, you have choices. You have choices. So let me think how I want to talk a little bit about the shadow work from yesterday and a little bit about how this comes together in this whole realm of allowing others to care for themselves, whether they choose to or not. So we were talking about the shadow work and falling into the desire for the certainty, and I'm going to put that in quotes because nothing is certain, the certainty of being negative and expecting nothing, blah, blah, as a way to prevent being disappointed, and as opposed to the uncertainty of all that is. When we do dualistic thinking, it's this or it's that, it's yes or it's no, it's us or it's them, there's this manufactured certainty that comes with that. Well, it's this or it's that. When we go into all that is, it's this or it's that, or 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 it's this and that and that and that and that. That messes with our heads. Our heads that want things to be nice and neat and in boxes. The world is not nice and neat and in boxes. Remember a bit ago, excuse me, when we talked about complexity versus complicated? Complexity is the rainforest where all of the parts are working together. Good morning, Susan. Glad you're here. Glad you're here. All these parts are working together, right? So when we come in and we chop down a bunch of trees, we mess up that complexity. And then when we go back and we plant all the same kind of tree, we're now messing it up really badly. In my area, what they like to do is cut down hardwoods and plant conifers. It ain't the same thing. It's not a tree for a tree. That's not how this thing works, right? So we mess it up. And again, we want that bigger worldview. When Richard Rohr talks about it, he talks about it as a Trinitarian worldview. And it's not this or that. It's not the dualistic thinking. But it scares us as human beings. That's why I think we made the image of God on the cloud, the white guy with the white beard, the old guy, because that white men could relate to. Didn't do a whole lot for most of the rest of us, but so now we're challenging ourselves. I hope we're challenging ourselves. I think the people who come here are willing to challenge themselves to see a bigger and bigger and bigger picture. In fact, it's such a vast picture that we can't bring it all into focus at once. Think about that. Allow that to be. Allow that to be. Allow it to be. I can't conceive of all of this. Even when we say, I can see this much, what are we doing? We're limiting it to one sense. What do you hear? What do you smell? What do you taste? What do you know in your heart and soul? What can you intuit? There's all these other senses that we tend not to pay attention to either. So if this feels big to you, it's because it is. It's because it is. So when I was talking to Bobby yesterday, And we do work that assists each other. We hold big space for each other. And every week we get this opportunity to, yes, God in that form makes us feel more secure because it's manageable. It's in the box. And there was a part of the thing that we watched from Richard Rohr where he talked about God having chosen to go from all that is into a form, Jesus Christ, so that we could at least conceive of some of it. And what do? We conceive of Jesus's humanity, and oftentimes we blow off his divinity, that he, in human form, is just a facet of all that he was and of all that we are. We present this physical image. Do we not believe that there's a hell of a lot more going on there than is visible, than is tangible, than is touchable, right? So, the piece I was working on, I had a dream yesterday morning, or was it the morning before? Anyway, no, it must have been yesterday morning, because I had gone to a meeting and mic drop, met a new group of people, many of whom, probably half the room or a little over half, have dreams and projects like mine. Mine's intentional community. Someone else wants to build a pocket neighborhood. Someone else wants to build senior housing. Someone else but they're kind of akin to each other. And there were philanthropists in the room, capable of funding projects, assisting projects forward. A young part of myself got triggered with that. Well, if someone else gets money, then that's money not available for my project. If this one's a go, that one isn't going to happen. Old thinking, old, not useful thinking. If they get it, I don't. Scarcity thinking, right? So a dream presented itself to me, and I wrote it down because didn't want to lose it. And I could already feel when I woke up that the subconscious part of me wanted to get rid of that dream so that I wasn't consciously aware of it and couldn't do the work to correct that particular misunderstanding, scarcity. So I wrote it down so it didn't disappear. The gist of the dream was that there was a contest, divine masculine, right? Competition instead of cooperation, collaboration, blah, blah, blah. But watch how the cooperation, collaboration weaves itself into the dream. It was really cool. So there's a competition for $1 million that this philanthropist out of this group put up for a winning project. Winning. Look at all the patriarchal stuff in there, right? So I applied. Bunch of other people applied. I think there were like 8 teams that started out. And then it was kind of every week they winnowed down the teams, and it got down to me and this Hmong woman who has a beautiful facility and this beautiful concept and really cool thing. And way back in the beginning, like week 1, we were all sort of brainstorming together, and I threw an idea on the table for her, and she took it and ran with it, and it became the winning idea. So I lost, quote unquote, because I gave her the idea that then won. She ran with it, she made it her own, whatever. And it didn't feel like it was my idea. Good morning, Tammy, glad you're here. It felt like it had come through me to be given to her. Wasn't my idea, I wasn't attached to it. She wins. So a young man in the crowd, a young white guy, stands up and starts yelling at me. How stupid are you? You gave her the winning idea. What's wrong with you? Now she's got the $1 million and her dream gets to move forward and you're stuck. Blah, blah, blah. And out of nowhere came the thought, I didn't lose anything. It was an idea that came through me to give to her. I was merely the vehicle. She was meant to get that idea. She was meant to run with it, which she did, and she won. More power to her. So year 2 rolls around, and the same thing happens. A different person, different team wins, but I had channeled an idea that took them to the win. This kept happening. Somewhere in there I started saying, I think I'm Susan Lucci here. But I wasn't feeling bad about it because the scarcity idea had left me. It was like, no, this is divinely right. This is what's supposed to happen. Here's how it's supposed to go. So, but as I was sharing the dream with Bobby, that little self presented again, and she was distressed about losing, not moving her idea forward, our idea forward. And so Bobby said to me, again, channeling a beautiful idea, because I was using the concept of garden, that I have my own garden and I'm tending my own garden. Others have their gardens, but I'm sharing plants. They're sharing plants back. Collaboration, collaboration, collaboration. And she said, Bun, what if it's all one garden? Mic drop. What if it's all one garden? What if the divine's ideas can come through me into others' gardens, which are all one garden? What if the idea that comes through me changes the world? I contribute the ideas. They're an offering. They're not mine to bring to fruition. But maybe there are those, and I think of elders this way. If you look at elders in indigenous communities, when the indigenous community functions the way they typically did before we messed them up, the elders, to me, are the ones who do channel those universal ideas, channel the it's all one ideas, hand them off to the people who then run with them and make them manifest, right? So what if? What if? Yes, wise women and wise ideas. And think about that with regard to this. You can lead the horse to water. And again, what if we're wrong? What if we're wrong? What if us looking at Joe Blow and saying, well, if Joe would just do this or that or stop this or that, his life would be amazing. What if Joe continuing to do whatever it is he's doing that's messing him up in our perception is precisely what he needs to do in this lifetime to figure something big out? I'm just going to pick something. An addiction. Let's pick heroin, because that's a scary ass one, right? If we're talking to someone who has a heroin addiction and maybe they're struggling to quit, maybe they're not struggling to quit, maybe they don't see it as a problem, but we're preaching and getting nowhere. What if walking that path is precisely the path they need to walk to learn a lesson that we're not privy to? I think about a very dear person of mine who lost her younger brother to a heroin overdose. I like to think that when he got to the other side, the universe said to him, what did you learn? What did you learn with your foray of however many years he had, cut short, obviously, but what did you learn? And him being in the place, good morning, Cheryl, of saying to Spirit, well, I learned this, and this. I learned you can't outrun your problems. And in fact, maybe they're not problems. Maybe they're opportunities. I'd like another shot at it. I'd like to go back and try again and see if I can stay present in these difficulties, these life difficulties, and work it through differently the next time around. Obviously, you can tell I believe that spirits continue, that we don't end, and that we're in everything. We're in the trees, we're in the rocks, we're in the water. I mean, if you look at it just from a physics perspective, of course we are. I drink this water, right? Something in that water gets absorbed into my system. It feeds cells. The molecules of the water end up being part of the cells. At some point, I go to the bathroom. It ends up in the sewer system. Somewhere in there, the evaporation occurs, right? Over and over and over. It ends up, let's say it waters a tree and then becomes a molecule of a tree. The molecules within us end up all over the place. Think about that. The molecules that make up your body right here, right now, have been around and around and around, and have been in all kinds of things and people. Interesting to think about that. So yes, perception. Our perceptions aren't always correct. Our perceptions are limited by our humanity. We have big thinkers, right? We have big thinkers. If you take an Albert Einstein, he probably thought about these things much more deeply than most people do on a typical day. But he still had the limitations of his physical beingness, etc., and the capacity of his brain. And I don't believe that we've tapped the full capacity of the human brain by any means. But it's still a human brain, and it still probably has some limitations, right? When the human body has to go to sleep, the human brain keeps doing its thing, but it's not doing the same kinds of things that it does when it's awake. So it's just the nature of the beast, right? Just the nature of the beast. But how big can we dream? And what if we what ifed? And what if it is all one garden? And as we throw our ideas out there, that's why I'm loving this idea of this group, because we can sit around a table and pitch ideas out there, and maybe it falls flat for me, but maybe the person next to me grabs it and runs with it, and something amazing happens, right? It doesn't work to try to fix someone. It's time for that relationship to shift. Each person must be accountable for his or her own healing. So now let's talk about, and this is going to be a long ass video, but that's okay. I'm on a roll. Look out. You coming along for the ride? When that person chooses to stick with what they've been doing that isn't really working for you and doesn't overly appear to be working for them, what can you do? Especially if you live in the same house with them. What can you do? My first thing would be breathe. I know some of you knew I was going to say that. Breathe. When you feel the reactivity coming up, there he goes again. Breath. Of course, there he goes again. That is his path, right here, right now. It is the path that has opened before him. It is the path he is choosing to walk. Breathe in. Breathe out. I acknowledge that parts of his path do not work for me. How will I take care of myself when I notice him walking that part of his path? So let's just take Carolyn's situation, where that person is negative, looks at things through the proverbial shit color lenses. What do you do to take care of yourself? A, breathe. B, acknowledge he's on the path that he's been on. This is merely one more step on the path that he's been on. It's not a big hairy deal. It pokes the buttons, absolutely. But it's not a big hairy deal really in reality. It's just one more step on that same path. Another day, another step, right? You've already probably spoken ad nauseum about your perception of that path. You know, this negativity isn't serving you. It brings me down. I'm not happy about it, blah, 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 blah. It hasn't changed. It continues. Detach. Let go. When you'll know you're detached when you notice him doing one of those negative things, and you're like, there it is again. Matter of fact, no visceral reaction, merely acknowledging that it is. Then you know that you've done your work, right? Again, it seems so much easier for them to just change. It may not be easy for us to change, but it's so worthwhile. So worthwhile. Carolyn, when you can look at that person and say, there's another step on his path, and have no gut reaction, and go about your business doing your thing, gracefully removing yourself from the conversation if it's negativity, whatever. Go about your business. Okay, I'm going to go get some groceries. I'm going to go do some knitting. I'm going to go garden. Extricate yourself from the situation. You do not need to sit there and listen to it. Go do your thing. Go do your thing, right? Yeah. And think about it. What if that negativity isn't a problem? What if it is the vehicle to get that person where they're supposed to go? And we can't see it. We can't see where they're supposed to go. We don't know where God is guiding them. We don't know, to borrow from Carolyn Meese, we don't know what the sacred contract is. Perhaps the sacred contract, yes. Good. Protect your power. What is it I want to do in this moment? I want to go read a book. I'm going to go read a book. What is it I want to do in this moment? Here's this negativity in front of me. What do I want to do? I want to make a cup of tea. Go make the cup of tea. You can, and I'm going to steal from my favorite yoga instructor who's on the call. At the center of life's storms, I stand serene. When we can achieve that, and for most of us, it's an asymptotic relationship, which means we approach, we get closer. We never actually arrive, but we get closer and closer. And think about it. How close do we have to be before we're really feeling the good stuff? Even if it's never a done deal, when we're close enough, we're fine, we're golden, right? So, taking care of your power. And the primary way to take care of your power is keep it. Keep it. Don't be handing it, well, here's what you ought to do, or why are you talking like that, or trying to make something happen that isn't happening. Let it go. Let it go. If you have not watched Disney's movie Frozen, and you have the opportunity, do so. That song in there about let it go, perfect. It's our theme song, right? Whenever we are in the belief that we need to fix someone or fix a situation, my sister called me yesterday, madder than hell, because someone had asked for something that she didn't want to give. It was a big ask. I said, so say no. Well, I feel like I should help. No. This person created this situation. There's things to be learned from this situation. You bail this person out, you're robbing them of the opportunity to learn what they're supposed to learn. What's the most hard part about that? In her mind, I think it's that he might feel mad at her, that he might be pissed at her. Fine. Then they're pissed. That's okay. Let it be. We do not have to ride in on the white horse and rescue somebody from their own choices. Let them learn. Let them learn. Maybe a role you can play, and I'm going to say this with big caveats all around it, clause, is to ask them in this process, well, what do you think you're meant to learn from this? This circumstance that's kind of kicking your butt right now. What are you meant to learn from this? Let them be pissed. Yes, let them be pissed. You are not the savior incarnate. Quit trying to rescue everybody. It does not serve you. It does not serve them. All it does for you is make you an angry, resentful person. Is that who you want to be? This is getting to be long. I got lots to say on this apparently, right? But let's all agree, pinky swear, get your pinkies up here, that we will let go. We're going to surrender the idea that we can fix someone, including ourselves. We don't have to fix us. We are fine. There's things we want to tweak so that we can become all we're meant to be, but we're not broken. We're not broken. Yes, what are you supposed to learn from this? What do you think you can glean from this? Nothing. It just sucks. All right, well, sit with that for a while. Walk away. I think the maddest my daughter ever got at me, and I said it all the time, was, you're a smart young woman. What are you going to learn from this? And she'd stomp off and slam doors and hang up phones and whatever else. And then a couple days she'd come back and go, well, here's what I figured out. Yes, perfect, beautiful, lovely. You are such a smart person. So, for the moment, this is what we're practicing. We've now pinky sweared that we're going to surrender the idea that we can fix someone. We're going to allow them to walk their path. We are not going to invest our heart and soul into their path. We're going to invest our heart and soul into our path. Clean in front of your own doorstep first. Is that harder work? Uh-huh. And there's also times when we don't have to fix anything. We can just be. Are we a hot mess sometimes? Yes, that's part of being human. We aren't going to be perfect. We can allow ourselves our own fucked upness. So, that is the mission for today. We've got 16 of us on here and 17 including me. Imagine all 17 of us go out and we talk to someone about this stuff. Actually, I'm going to have an opportunity later today. We are doing a family Zoom. Family Zooms historically have not gone well. So it will be an opportunity to practice detaching, allowing people to be where they're at, speaking my truth, moving on. Hope you have opportunities too. Absolutely. Oh, yes. All right, let's hold up Gwen's family. Let's bless your mother-in-law on her way into the divinity. How beautiful. It's time. It's transition. It's hard for us left behind. But they hit the mother load. They're doing fabulous. It can be sorrow and joy at the same time. Sending you good juju, dear. All right. See you again tomorrow. Remember, you're capable of far more than you think you are. Go forth and conquer. Bye-bye.